Hello and welcome to Rock, Paper, Shotgun and the tamer, cooler pre-show for the PC Gaming Weekspot. My name is Colin Ahern and joining me is Matthew Castle. Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
How are you? Are you feeling relaxed, calm, cool and collected?
Yeah, for the sake of argument, let's say, yeah, sure.
Are you a fan of smooth jazz? Are you a fan of any kind of jazz?
I'm not mad about jazz, I must admit, but I like smooth things.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so no pulp.
I prefer my juice without bits.
Yeah. A man after my own heart.
I mean, literally juice without bits. It's not a euphemism for anything.
I think that probably just what does it for this pre-show banter.
Wow, that's great. People getting their money's worth.
Indeed they are. Actually, yeah, I should say thank you very much, Mog, for the tenor. Yeah, that was very nice of you. Mog says this is for Tech Corner and BG3 and Yakuza, I suppose.
Tech Corner. Who likes Tech Corner?
Everyone is sweeping the nation, just as. Another thing that's sweeping the nation is the PC Gaming Weekspot. Hello and welcome to the PC Gaming Weekspot, your recap of the last 7 days in PC video gaming. My name is Colin Ahern and joining me on this episode and every single episode after that, it is the one, it is the only, it's Mr. Matthew Castle.
Hello.
How are you, Matthew?
Well, as we've just established in the pre-show banter, fine. Absolutely fine. Actually, slightly stressed out because I've been playing a bit of old Baldur's Gate on my Switch this afternoon, doing some of the Tales of the Sword Coast missions that I hadn't done when I was tinkering with it originally. And I'm currently in, there's this, I can't even remember the name of it, there's this like nightmarish tower, and it's full of all these traps and gizmos, and I've been loading my save a lot, dying a lot. So I actually come to the weak spot quite tense.
Neither cool nor calm nor collected. I mean, we won't go into a however old game too much, but yeah, is there any credence to those that yearn for the gameplay of the original Baldur's Gate?
Oh, and it's a very distinct thing. It's its own thing. It's, you know, kind of. Yeah, I partly played it because I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 and wanted to go back to it. And I was going to jump into Baldur's Gate 2, but I thought I have a few last things to do in Baldur's Gate 1 before I replay 2. Yeah, and it just, it's got its own vibe. It's very different tone to it, but it's got a kind of warm nostalgia. I saw Andy Kelly on Twitter of PC Gamer fame talking about them being like perfect autumn games. So yeah, I kind of feeling in the mood for something kind of familiar and fundamentally something which has an end on it, which Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't, as it's in early access. So.
Fair point. One thing...
Durlag's Tower, that's it. Durlag's Tower. Thank you, David Gorman in the comments.
Yeah, he Google whacked that, I think. But another thing that has an end is the PC Gaming Weekspot, but it also has a beginning where we tell you what's coming up in the show. So let's do that on today's edition of the PC Gaming Weekspot in headlines and hot takes, where we take you through the last 7 days, the last 7 days of news in PC games. Microsoft have said that they want to take xCloud to the PC. Also, Crystal Dynamics are confident about pulling back players that have cast Marvel's Avengers to one side. Also, Her Story developer Sam Barlow is on about, he's been bringing up Silent Hill Shattered Dimensions. No, Silent Hill Shattered Memories. What's Shattered Dimensions? Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what that is. And also, in Tech Corner, AMD announced the new Ryzen 5000 chip. God, Matthew is chomping at the bit to discuss that. And in Show and Tell, where we discuss the games that we've been playing over the last 7 days, I have got thoughts on Yakuza Like a Dragon. Matthew's been playing Genshin Impact. And I Am Dead is a lovely little puzzler. And also, we've got more chat on Baldur's Gate 3.
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. In Steam, Mystery Steam Reviews, the new quiz segment sweeping the nation, myself and Matthew will be testing the knowledge of one another as Colin Ahern has introduced slightly more graphics as well this time. But not loads. Not loads. We'll also be taking your burning questions. So when we're at that section of the show, the people watching live, you can ask us whatever you bloody well please. But we ourselves have many burning questions for Steven Spielberg, maybe the most celebrated film director in history. Because yes, Matthew, yes, after weeks and weeks and weeks, it's confirmed. Steven is going to be on the show.
I've watched the Tux, Mr. Spielberg.
Yeah, you were? Oh.
No, I haven't. No, okay. He can't tell that through Zoom, can he?
No. Well, he's on Skype, so maybe. I'm not sure. But after, I suppose, the last couple of weeks, Stephen wasn't on. We couldn't schedule because of a ton of different things. But yeah, been talking to his assistant and very excited to have Stephen on the show.
What's his assistant called?
What was that, sorry? His
assistant called?
Greta.
All right. You're always talking about his assistant. But
Yeah, Greta's her name.
Greta's her name.
But Matthew, before we get into the big stories of the week, can you crank open that gob of yours, please? Because I've got some info snacks for you. Info snacks for his gob. Wonderful. Yes, this is the part of the show where I just go through a couple of small little bits to keep everyone up to date. First of all, Outriders, the 1 to 3 player co-op shooter from Bulletstorm developer People Can Fly, has been delayed. It's now coming out on the 2nd of February 2021. A lot of people don't really seem all that fussed about it. Both myself and Matthew have played it, and we both think it's okay.
It's got good explodey headshots.
It does. No, I
liked it, but we made a video about it on the channel about 1,000 years ago, and no one gave a fuck. And it was absolutely, it was kind of amazing, really, how little interest there was.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, when you think about, they've made Bulletstorm, Gears of War, fair enough, it was Judgment, but still, they're not a tiny developer. But in other and closer release date news, the next weird game from the minds of Octodad, Bug Snacks, is coming out on the 12th of November, while Layers of Fear dev, Bloober Team, is launching the Medium on December 10th. Have you any interest in either, Matthew?
I think the Bloober Team one's delayed, isn't it?
Again? That was only at the weekend it was announced that it was the 10th of December.
Okay, that was that. Sorry, right. That was really the delay.
Yeah. But
I don't really like the Bloober games.
Did you never took to Layers of Fear or Observation, was it?
They're scary enough. I think they're too busy trying to be, this is all psychological and clever, and it forgets that you just want a good old scare. That one on the boat, that was...
I was just going to say, the first Layers of Fear, I thought it married the kind of psychological plus actual scares quite well. But the second Layers of Fear on the boat, I just thought was a bit boring. So I just didn't think there was much to it.
Yeah, one was better, but the whole, you go into a room and you turn around and the room's turned into an abattoir or something, and you're like, But I'd be more scared if the room was just a room and you were like, oh my God.
As in the film, if you looked around and...
you go into a bedroom and it remains a bedroom.
That is a terrifying thought.
It's not much of a game. But.
In even closer release date news, Rogue, as in the game that roguelikes are based on, is coming to Steam on the 20th of October. I'm intrigued to play this just because I never have, and it spawned a genre.
I saw there was quite a funny tweet doing the rounds at the weekend that it's been tagged on Steam as a roguelike, and you're like, Not quite.
Crucible, do you remember that, Matthew? Amazon's much maligned free-to-play shooter.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's dead.
No.
Amazon announced late last week that on the 9th of November, the game will no longer be available. The team that worked on the game is going to be moving over to New World. Do you remember that? The dodgy-looking MMO from Amazon that's coming in 2021.
I played for the channel, and then I had like a week left to go, and I was like, shall I make a video, or shall I just go back to bed? And I went back to bed and didn't make a video. Was
it any good? Was the game?
I went back to bed is kind of all the indicated. No, it was okay. It was okay.
And after
MMO guy, so
after plenty of back and forth, Epic and Apple are going to trial on the 3rd of May, 2021. So, we'll just have to wait for about 7 months to see what the outcome of that is. However,
Battle of the Bastards.
It is something that will impact. Like the judge who will be presiding over it has said that it's something that could impact Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, all of them. So it'll be interesting for the actual industry.
Do you think they're going to struggle? Do you think they'll have to try and find like a judge and a jury that don't have like iPhones or phones in general? Like they don't want to have any bias.
That would be so. When they're bringing in jurors, they ask them to empty out their pockets, and if they have a 3310, it's like you're okay. You're all right. Perhaps. But yes, that's your lot of info snacks for your gob. So Matthew, let's get into the hot news of the week in headlines.
I hope they're not too hot for my mouth.
Well, maybe the rest of your body. You could stick it somewhere else. Headlines and hot takes. Ooh, how exciting. All the big news of the week. To be honest, the news has been relatively... I mean, everyone cares about PlayStation and Xbox at the minute. So, but, there are still things to discuss, such as xCloud, Matthew. So we were talking about iOS. xCloud is Microsoft's cloud gaming streaming solution. I don't think it's called xCloud anymore. I think it's, but everyone still refers to it as such. But somebody on Twitter asked Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg of Microsoft if there were any thoughts of bringing the streaming service to both consoles and PC to like test out Game Pass games. And Phil Spencer said, yes, we want to do this. It's in the long list of cool things the xCloud team is working on. Just a bit further down the list, but we want console and PC players to be able to browse as easily as mobile players. It's a good Game Pass feature. This is... there aren't many talking points here. Just purely, just
expertly picked to leave this section.
It just gives us a chance to wax lyrical about Game Pass again, which is a service that we're not on commission, but it's very good. And if you don't have Game Pass, then you should probably look into it, especially if something like this is brought to the table. It makes it an even more attractive prospect, I suppose. Do you think that would sell Game Pass anymore to people, say, with a cap? Like, I know we don't have it, but like, say, Middle America, there's a lot of that. And there is some of that, I suppose, in Britain as well, is there not? Where, you can only download X amount of gigs a day. Take that, Matthew, and run with it.
Oh, wow, what a talking point. Great. Internet caps.
Well, I mean, you laugh, but there are definitely sections of the audience out there.
Caps, I feel bad for people who've got them. It's more just like, I mean, it's not so much a hot potato that you've thrown to me here. It's just a big hot dog turd. What's the question again? I got distracted by Spielberg's spinning head.
Yeah. Sure. Game Pass, it's good. In other news.
Oh no, that's terrible. I feel so bad for anyone. Does anyone actually tune into this and goes, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for the news bit"?
Well, I mean, over the last couple of weeks, fair enough, it has. We haven't had much to chew on, but I do genuinely think the next story.
I could regurgitate some of the things you put into my news scorp earlier.
You could do. Maybe there were better talking points in there.
I've probably got more to talk about Outriders. I could puke up Outriders to talk about.
Well, how about you puke up some Marvel's Avengers thoughts that you had a couple of weeks ago in Show and Tell, because it's been in the news again, Matthew. The reason's not great, really, for Marvel's Avengers, because it turns out it's not that popular. So, I think it was a report from Forbes, yes, it was, where they looked into the player count on Steam, and Marvel's Avengers had plummeted to between 1,000 and 2,000 people playing the game. And this is a month after launch, I believe. So this story was, as I say, doing the rounds. So Crystal Dynamics boss Scott Amos, he issued a statement to Kotaku to, I suppose, drum up support for the game. Amos said, "To our players, every day we fight to make the best game possible for our community. We have a great community management team at Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix who funnel all of your concerns, suggestions and feedback to the development team daily. We are listening. We are making fixes, improvements and additions as fast as we safely can to make Marvel's Avengers the game we all aspire it to be." And then he went into a number of different things they're including, like missions and different heroes and so on and so forth. And he concluded by saying, "We are confident that we'll see PC players, as well as those on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, return to the game as we add exciting new late-game content and demonstrate that we continue to be focused on improving the game." I'm guessing you're going to tell me, Matthew, because, many people did, that this doesn't massively surprise you. Would I be fair in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this one was kind of cursed from the beginning. Like, the vibes around Avengers has almost felt like, you have the kind of audacity to make an Avengers game that is adjacent to the Avengers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah. And it felt like the second that came out, like the moment they announced this game, it was doomed in the eyes of many, because that's just a huge hurdle to get over, and it's something they simply can't fix. In the minds of a lot of people, it feels sort of a bit budget, I guess, compared to the big sort of celeb packed thing, which is mad when you think of, like, Spider-Man on PlayStation, really nothing to do with the film, very much its own beast. The Batman games, the Arkham games, like just a big comic book play. It can be done, but for some reason, like, this was just, I don't know, it felt like tainted by connection from the very start.
I suppose, like, when you bring up Spider-Man, like, a lot of people like that. I would say slightly more than than they probably should. Spider-Man, it was a good game, but, like, calm down a little bit. But
I think for what it's worth, I think Spider-Man is of all the various superhero games there are, is the closest I've seen to like the Batman Arkham games in terms of nailing the character and having the right kind of design for that character.
Yeah, listen, don't get me wrong. It is good. It's just a lot of the side stuff not great. However, that's a PlayStation game. So.
Yeah, but I think the thing that I think is a bit of a shame with Avengers is I don't think it's a complete bust. As an actual game, I think the kind of co-op idea kind of makes sense in my head because, like, fundamentally, the Avengers are exciting when there's loads of Avengers doing Avengery stuff, and the game is best when there are lots of characters doing mad stuff on the screen. Like, if anything, I think it's like they could have gone more down, like, almost like the Borderlands route, where I think a lot of the appeal of Borderlands is like the chaos scales as you level up, as you get better guns that do mad things, but it scales times 4. And this, like, when you add more players, there's this instant rush of like busyness on screen, which is really exciting. But like what you actually change about them isn't kind of quite good enough. Like they're not versatile enough. You can't change their powers in substantial enough way that when you're playing, there has to be an element with these games of seeing something that you don't have and going, oh, cool, I want that. And
well, it's like you said at the time, the gear is like Hulk's rib cage, and
and some of it there is some stuff that like modifies it at in some fun ways, but it's not like this Iron Man fist is going to fire like 100 rockets, or this Iron Man fist is a flame. It's a bit more kind of sensible than that. So I don't really think it ever quite ticks that like crazy. The kind of crazy, mad action angle that loot games, the better loot games do.
Yeah. Most people I've spoken to who have played it, I haven't yet, but I don't know. I might do. I may not though with all the news. Most people have said to me that the allure is the story, the campaign, the character of Kamala Khan, all that. Whereas anyone I've spoken to who's played this has played the story and just gone, I'm fine, see ya, and not gone back in.
Crystal Dynamics are a single-player story campaign studio, and it feels like, and I said this when we covered it when it came out, it feels like at one point this may have been that, and maybe it should have been that, because actually I think fans of something, if something is shiny and good enough, I think people are fine paying full whack for a 15-hour campaign.
Agreed.
Like the Naughty Dog model, basically. People like the Tomb Raider games. I like the Tomb Raider games. They could have just made something like that and it would have been absolutely fine. Instead, it's bogged down with all this weird crap that is designed to come into play at the end, but the end game is sort of non-existent. So you've basically messed up both parts. And I also, the other thing I would say, I don't think it fundamentally, it doesn't feel like nice enough that you just want to drop in to play it for a bit, which is kind of like the secret to like, definitely Destiny. I think Destiny got away with some quite shaky add-ons, some quite bad expansions, just because it's fundamentally a nice feeling thing to play. People like shooting the heads off aliens in that game. It is very satisfying. So people have a great deal of patience for it. I mean, this to me smacks of the kind of game, like it's in that danger zone where you just know in 6 months it's going to be a free-to-play game. And because that's
Old Republic kind of, or
like, what was that?
Elder Scrolls Online.
Thing? Borderlands 3, Battleborn.
Battleborn, yep.
You do a big swing for it. If it fails, you give it away for free. If there's still no interest, then I just it doesn't do for Crystal Dynamics because I really like that. I like their games. I really liked what they did with Tomb Raider over the years, both their original trilogy and the new trilogy. I think they're a really great studio. Hilariously, I went to visit them once, and their studio is in this big glass building in California, and the sun just comes beating through the window. So they all work under these massive umbrellas. Like all their desks were under, like the umbrellas you get outside of cafes, because otherwise there's too much screen glare. That's my Crystal Dynamics anecdote.
I thought that. I thought that was going, and one day this thing happened with the umbrella and the.
No, they just had umbrellas in an office. That's quite odd.
No, that is quite odd. Yeah, it's just your tone didn't feel like it was built, and they had umbrellas inside. So, but it was still a good story. Thanks very much for sharing. I appreciate it.
Christ. Where's your story? Go on, you tell a story.
I could tell you a ghost story, Matthew.
Oh, I don't want to hear a ghost story.
About shattered memories. No,
okay.
No interest. So Sam Barlow, who you may know from more recently, Telling Lies and Her Story, the FMV games. Well, he's been talking about making a spiritual successor to Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I think was it with IGN? It was IGN he was talking to. Barlow said, "We have a game we're looking to make, which is very much what was special about Shattered Memories. How would you take that further now? Like Outer Worlds' take on Fallout or Bloodstain's take on Castlevania, etc. So it's not a Konami or branded Silent Hill thing." Shattered Memories, Matthew. Have you any memories of Shattered Memories?
Yeah, I went to see it being made. It's made by Climax, this particular studio was in they're in Portsmouth on the seafront on a pier. Weirdly,
any umbrellas?
They had these umbrellas. No, they didn't have these. I went to the studio, and have you played Shattered Memories?
I haven't. No.
So one of the interesting things about Shattered Memories is it's kind of framed by your character is being interviewed by a psychologist. I think in a similar way to
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn did it afterwards. Yeah, this was before that, quite some time. And he asks you questions, and the idea is that the game kind of adapts to your psychological profile. So, like, it'll, show you areas, or it'll reskin certain things to, like, freak you out. But yeah, there's this. But it makes for quite an interesting game because the first thing you have is this creepy dude in a chair who's like, do you like dressing up in the bedroom? And you're like,
is he a West Ham fan? Do you like dressing up in the bedroom?
He's American. It's this guy here. This guy. But it's a little bit seedy and quite embarrassing when you volunteer to do the demo in front of a room of your peers. And then there's this guy asking you all these kind of slightly kinky questions. I liked Shattered Memories. Some people liked it a lot. I thought it was decent. The big problem I had with it is that instead of combat, it made all the action like escape sequences.
Okay.
Like, when it becomes the other world or whatever, Silent Hill, I don't know what it's called in Silent Hill, the flip side kind of thing. The world freezes over and you basically have to run away from these monsters. But it fundamentally means it's a game where everything scary is behind you and you never really see it. You're just running towards empty rooms like all the time.
Is that not your modern, that's kind of your modern survival horror, is it not? Like your Amnesia style of just, running away. There is no combat.
Maybe so. It never really hooked me. I always felt it was a bit of a flaw in its... Like when it's also, if you're not in the ice world, nothing can hurt you. So you're perfectly safe, which kind of drains it. So I think it had some problems, but it also was a lot more grounded. It had quite a good mobile phone sort of interface, if I remember correctly, for dealing with various apps and things. And I liked the framing of the psychologist kind of giving you weird grief. I mean, it was also because it was made for I think it came out on Wii, PS2, and PSP. So a cool sort of thing. Not that they're talking about a direct remake or anything, but seeing a slightly shinier version of this kind of thing. I really like the idea, the pitch of what Bloodstained was to Castlevania, for example. Yeah. This idea of people who are going, well, we don't own the license, but we'll just make what is in effect a Silent Hill game, and as Konami don't seem that interested. I'd be up for it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what is a Silent Hill Shattered Memories like? Because if it is just running away from your enemies and all, is that not what something like an Amnesia is like, or an Outlast, or a...
Yeah, and it is probably a bit more like that. I'd be interested to see what Sam Barlow particularly did with it, because his studio is now known for these FMV adventures. They've got live actors and live action stuff going on, and they're detective games set in that. But he obviously has an affinity for this world. I guess it's like I guess what makes it unique is it's a Silent Hill without action. Like you're such an everyman that you can't fight things off. That it's like a very pure take on survival horror, like Escape. I guess that's what makes Shattered Memories. I'd be interested to hear Sam Barlow talk about what defines this in his head. But I would imagine that and kind of interesting story framing would probably come into it.
Yeah, well, you've sold me on a Shattered Memories. Like, I do wonder if you can sell me on the biggest news of the week, of course, and one that I know that you were terribly excited about as we enter Tech Corner, Matthew. Yes, it is that time of the week because the folks at AMD, they have announced the new 5000 series.
Yeah.
I'll just pull up the details here. Yes, these are the 5000 CPUs from AMD, the Ryzen 5000 CPUs, and they also showed off their new Zen 3 core architecture. These are launching worldwide on the 5th of November 2020. And of course, AMD's new Ryzen 5000 CPUs will be headlined by the 12-core Ryzen 5 5900X, which is meant to be 26% faster than AMD's previous flagship CPU, which, Matthew, as you know, is, of course, the Ryzen 9 3900 XT. So with all that said, Matthew, what I'd like to know is if you had to tell me, if you had to give me an answer here, what would you say is your favorite color?
Oh, blue. Blue, probably.
Any particular reason?
Just programmed into you as a boy, isn't it?
Probably. So that is headlines and hot takes this week. So we'll see if PlayStation and Xbox continue to dominate the news cycle, and I don't know, maybe something might happen over the next 7 days. Who knows? But one thing I do know is that the next segment is called Show and Tell.
Show and tell, show and tell. We can't afford a proper jingle. It's meant to be jingle.
Yes, Show and Tell is the part of the PC Gaming Weekspot where we discuss the video games that we've been playing over the last 7 days. And Matthew Castle, I have been playing a very exciting video game. One of my most anticipated video games of 2020. Yakuza Like a Dragon, or Yakuza Lad for short. I don't know if that's catching on, but I really hope it does.
Yakuza Lad.
So this, I should say it, right? I am not going to go into certain aspects of Yakuza Like a Dragon because this isn't a review. I haven't played the entirety of the game. I did play a large chunk. I did play a good couple of hours. But
Are they peeing in the river?
Well, you'll see in a second, Matthew, whether he's peeing or not. But what I played of Yakuza, I played about 5 or 6 hours. But the part that I played, it was in chapter 5. So going into the story and all that doesn't really make sense to me. So what I want, what I wanted to focus on more was first of all the new combat, and then all of the new mini games on offer as well.
Okay.
So the combat.
Yeah.
The biggest change for Yakuza, no question, because rather than like the modernized Streets of Rage beat 'em up style that people have come to know and love over the previous Yakuza games, we have this new RPG system where you, as the protagonist Ichiban Kasuga, and your 3 pals here, you form a party and you take down your menacing men and your threatening men and all that. All right.
Just walloping them with handbag.
So one of my fears about this new combat system was that it was going to slow things down to a snail's pace. Because, like, in previous Yakuza games, you would, when you're traveling from A to B, you would come across a decent chunk of these menacing men and all that. But, you know, it was introduced in Yakuza 6, actually, that you could just run past this group. You wouldn't have to worry about them. But here, from what I gather, once you go into the battle, you're there in the battle, and you know, you're just stuck there. So I was thinking, like, oh, is this going to add an awful lot of time onto Yakuza? In those moments in an open world game, Matthew, where you're just like, do you know, when I just want to play the mission and I don't want to get involved. I don't want to raise my wanted level in GTA or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But from the bit that I played in the save, the characters were quite highly leveled. They were like level 15 or something, right? So every group of menacing men that I came across, it felt like I was fairly overpowered and I was able to dispatch them quite quickly.
Right.
So I can't really say how much it slows it down, because for me, it didn't really seem like it slowed it down all that much. But again, I was beginning from a point in the game that's like, 6 or 7 hours in.
Has it still? How much of like Yakuza like fighting systems in it, in terms of like moves and stuff? Like, can you still do like the ridiculous heat moves, but now that they're in like a menu, or what's the deal there?
Pretty, kind of, yeah. So you have on your menu, you can just attack the characters, you can guard, you can use items, or you can use your skills. So like any RPGs that have, you know, come before, any JRPGs, you have a, I don't know, I'm not sure what it's called. Is it MP? It might be, but then that would be magic points. I don't know what they're called here. But you have skills, and you use these points to use skills. And the skills that each one of your character has is determined by what job they have.
Right.
So, I started off, like, the 4 characters, one of them is a cop, I think. One of them is his job is a homeless man. One of them, his job is a bodyguard. I think that's what Kasuga's job is. And I think the other character, the woman, is a barmaid, but I don't know off the top of my head. But you can go into effectively a job center and change your job. But what
the homeless guy summon bats?
The homeless man can summon pigeons.
Right. I thought they were bats. I thought it was some vampire thing.
Yeah, no, so the jobs are like classes in RPG, and your skills will be tailored towards that. So like I changed Kasuga, the main man, into a musician, and he was able to then use his guitar and use, you know, musician type skills. The homeless man I changed into a break dancer, and then they were able to do breakdancing moves, I suppose.
Sound like one of those terrible government posters that are doing the rounds today. Oh, you! Don't be homeless. Be a breakdancer.
I mean, as you can see from the footage, it's very silly and very enjoyable.
He just summoned a guy with 2 giant spikes on his hand.
So that is the other part of the combat. You have pound mates, and you
sounds kind of homoerotic, that.
Doesn't it? I mean, I thought that too, yeah. But you acquire these pound mates by generally completing sub-stories, which are Yakuza side quests. And I befriended a crawfish, as you can see. And then so at any point during the battle, you can call upon one of your pound mates. You have to use a certain amount of yen, and they come in and they'll absolutely demolish whomever it is you're facing. It's ludicrous and wonderfully so when, you know, the homeless man is firing some pigeons at people, or the barmaid is like, what can she? Where she can like shake up champagne and just pour it over people. And also, I should say, actually, I didn't. There are. Your attacks can have an impact on the condition of characters as well. So like like all traditional RPGs, you can phase them. You can characters can bleed. There's rage. There's all these different types of things. So I know the footage, and I myself talking. I'm probably focusing on the more aggressive approach. Like there are other things.
Is there any particular? Like everyone seems to be walking around and moving. Is like position? Does it still play a role? Like, can you use bits of the scenery in attacks if you're near bits of scenery? I'm just curious why everyone's like walking around the whole time. It's quite odd.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is one of, as well as seemingly not being able to run away from fights, you can't control the placement of characters. Your characters sort of, they don't dance on the ones, but they'll just move around a little bit. And some of the attacks, even in the skills menu, you'll see that this will affect one enemy, this will affect two, this will affect a group, blah de blah. But let's say you want to use like this, the breakdancing guy can can use alcohol and like blaze a big flame in front of a group of enemies. But if you want to get, because that's an area of effect attack. So if you want to get a couple of different enemies, but say one of them is behind you and the other one is in front, you can't like walk behind that one that was behind you and then get both.
You have to wait for them to naturally get into place.
Yes, yeah. Which
sounds a bit stinky.
That's what because like you, when I was first into battle and my characters were moving about the place, I was controlling. I was like, am I moving them? Oh no, I'm not. What's the point of this? So it's the attacks, the skills, all that seem wonderful and ludicrous, but there are definitely concerns I have and some hang-ups, like the placement of your characters, like the fact that you can't run away, and kind of namely one thing that I wasn't able to figure out is how much of a grind there is to get up to this point where you can dispatch your people easily, or if enemies level up to your standard and it's okay. I don't honestly know. But the other thing, Matthew, that I kind of really focused on, aside from the combat, is the mini games, because this has a number of new ones. Like there are the old favorites, like darts is in there. I really enjoy darts. The only thing that annoys me about darts is that it doesn't force you to finish on a double. And it's like, come on, don't treat me like a baby. But there's golf, there are the batting cages, there's hostess bars now as well, which allow you to
there's been hostess bars before, surely.
So the way they're done is slightly different. Like you're not managing them, for one. You go in and you can bond with your pals, which is another thing I didn't really go into when I was playing the game. I didn't focus on that, so I don't know how much that can impact.
How's our man's singing voice?
It's pretty good. I don't know if it's up to the standard of Kiru. It's decent. Again, I'm going to have to do a bit more detective work on that. But I did play all of the new mini games, namely the one that really people have, like when they first saw it, they were like, what in God's name is that? And that is Dragon Kart. Yeah. So, I mean, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, this is not, Matthew. However, it is
Mario Kart.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed.
You're not one of those
Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, this is not. But it is still enjoyable. So yeah, you enter this competition. There are there's 4 different cups, so it follows the Mario Kart sort of staple. 4 different cups with 4 different tracks, and you race against 7 other people. Nice. There are speed boost power-ups. There are weapons. There are things on the track to slow you down. All that good karting type of stuff. Yeah. But a difference is that your kart has a health bar, and the more, like if that depletes and if you take enough damage, you will lose time. You'll spin out and lose time. You're not going to retire from the race. Right. I don't know how much of an impact that has, because to be honest, Matthew, didn't happen. I was shit hot at Dragon Kart racing, it turns out. So yeah, I say that this isn't your Mario Kart, your Sonic and All-Stars. It is fine. It does seem a bit slow. And I know to maybe criticize it in the way you would criticize an actual full game is maybe unfair because this is a mini game, but it just feels a little bit slow. The power slide is odd and it doesn't seem like there's any need for it. I don't know. I don't really get that. But still, enjoyable nonetheless. Another thing that's quite enjoyable is recycling, Matthew, isn't it? It's important to recycle. And that's one thing that you do in Yakuza Like a Dragon. So I don't know the name of this, but you go around collecting cans on this track in this sort of little arena. And then you drive back to a purple area and you deposit the cans.
Living the dream.
I really enjoyed this because, well, one, it was like, what's going on here? What's the point of this? But you hop on this little bike, and you just go around collecting cans. There is also the threat of rival can collectors who will bash into you and steal some of your cans. Well,
oh no!
I know, absolute bastards. I think I might have enjoyed this more than the Dragon Kart, to be honest. Again, you're not on a track as such. You're just in this arena that you constantly go around. I wish there was someone competing with me to do all the recycling in our house, so I could just put my feet up and not do it. Well, that'd be marvelous, wouldn't it, yeah? There are people competing with you to go to the cinema, though, Matthew. But I think you are an avid film watcher, so you would never fall asleep at a movie, would you?
Right.
Ichiban Kasuga, however, he does, and he has to deal with RAMs, REM RAMs that are very similar. They remind me of the ones in what's it called? Catherine, that's it.
Yeah.
So how this mini game works is that you're watching films, and they're kind of old, boring films. That's the story, right?
Yeah.
I was watching a film called RoboCook. Which, I mean, you can guess. And these RAMs turn up behind you. They shoot up out of the chairs, and you must hit the button prompts. It's completely fine. No, that's actually doing it a disservice. It is enjoyable, if you like that type of thing. But there are little... I nearly forgot. As well as the REM RAMs, there are alarm clocks. Marvellous.
Good.
Just marvellous. And if you're falling asleep, they'll whack together cymbals and give you a jolt of energy. So, just...
Oh my God. That is really, really strange.
But again, I suppose that's what you come to expect from a Yakuza minigame. And
quite a few people in the comments asking whether or not there's a full business sim in this one, like in Yakuza 0, I guess, with the cabaret club.
If there is, it's related to the main story, or I didn't come across that. I just know the mini games themselves. And the final new mini game that I came across was this. I went to vocational school to learn about sports, music, and Sega. At least those were the tests that I took. This might be my favourite. I loved this. So I spoke about the bonds that characters have already. I didn't entirely go into that, but your characters do have these different personality traits, I suppose, for lack of a better term. You can... what you do can impact Kasuga's passion, confidence, charisma, kindness, intellect and style. That's it. And you can improve. One way of improving these is by attending the Unabara Vocational School and taking quizzes for a fee. So you put a bit of money, and then you can take a music quiz. You can take a quiz on Sega. The amount of subjects is actually quite staggering. There's loads. There's geography, there's flags. It is quite it is quite Persona-like.
A time limit, so I can't cheat like I do in Persona to pass my exams.
That is the thing. In these multiple choice quizzes, you have a timer, you have 40 seconds to answer each question. But this is definitely something that I could the underworld studies, animal science. Just loads of absolutely marvelous Yakuza-like stuff.
Nice.
So whilst I didn't get to play I chose not to play the main story because I was like, look, I'll probably be coming on here and talking about all that when I actually, review it. So let's delve into the new things that Yakuza has to offer, being the combat and the mini games. And I came away relatively pleased. I know. I came away quite pleased. It's just I do
You're
definitely.
a hard man to please.
I do have my concerns.
You pigeons at a guy. That's great. That's all I've wanted in a game.
No, that is marvelous. But did you play Yakuza 6?
I haven't played 6. No,
because I'd be lying if I said one of my favorite things in Yakuza 6 was being able to run away from enemies. It was brilliant because it just allowed you to push things along a little bit more. But
you call yourself a hoodlum, you coward.
In saying that, not disappointed, but a lot of my fears went away as soon as I played it because I was like, oh yes. I haven't even spoken about the sub stories that I went into. To be honest, because I don't really want to spoil a lot of that because characters from previous Yakuza games are referenced quite a lot. So for anyone of long time Yakuza or playing Yakuza long time, I mean, we've all been playing it. A select group of us have been playing it since 0. But I don't want to go into all that. But still, there is a lot here to love, Matthew, and I loved quite a lot of it. I'm really looking forward to this. I really, really am.
As am I.
That is Yakuza Like a Dragon, but a video game that I know very little about. I know that this game is popular and it's quite like Breath of the Wild, but apart from that, I know pretty much nothing about Genshin Impact. So that's what you are here for, Matthew. You are here to tell me everything about this Breath of the Wild alike. So yeah, what is Genshin Impact? What's going on?
So this is a free-to-play open world RPG, often mentioned in the same breath as Breath of the Wild, which I'm sure you'll be able to understand from watching about 5 seconds of it. Very similar approach to just a massive open world. There's a big climbing mechanic where you climb with the stamina bar. You've got you can glide with your wings, which is quite like Link's glider. So as an exploration game, it's quite like Breath of the Wild.
Oh my God, yes.
But it's pretty amazing looking. I will say that for it. It's gorgeous, and obviously it's got a lot more power behind it. It's on mobile too, but on PC, it's I haven't seen what it looks like on mobile, but it's absolutely stunning looking. It's kind of slightly cartoony kind of look, but it's really, really imposing and striking, and it's super smooth. It is a really gorgeous world, and it has the thing that Breath of the Wild did really well, which is landscape you want to kind of explore, and you want to, you'll see stuff on the horizon, you want to go there, and it's giant imposing cliffs. It's very kind of over the top kind of topography, which is really fun to kind of clamber over. The big difference is the combat is a lot more kind of stats driven. Also, You have a party of 4 characters, and basically each character has a different elemental, has a different weapon and a different sort of elemental kind of affinity, which powers their moves. And I'd heard a lot of people say, also like Breath of the Wild, it has that kind of elemental sort of physics where you can set fire and it will spread and set fire to things. And
okay.
You can use a water character, or if you fight an enemy who's wet, if you use the electrical character, it will do more damage. So there's and that is true, though I would say it's a lot more combat focused. It's a lot more rigid. I'd say I don't feel like it has the same playful physics and ideas that Breath of the Wild has, it really does feel quite limited to combat, and a few puzzles where it's like use the fire arrow on the totem with the fire symbol, and use this. They don't feel like a tool set for achieving things your own way. It's also very Breath of the Wildy in like its enemy design, like the goblins. These giant robots are basically the guardians from Breath of the Wild. Like they come to life and they are, they're quite hard and they can trounce you with a couple of attacks. So it does borrow a lot, but it's got this, I'd say fundamentally what keeps it different. And I would say what makes it no way near as good as Breath of the Wild, despite some people claiming otherwise in their reviews, is that it is a lot more numbers driven. It has the Assassin's Creed levels. Like every enemy has a level. You have a level. You're leveling up. You can whittle away at a higher level enemy, but obviously it's dangerous. But the map, while you can go anywhere, is sort of semi-gated by enemy levels within it, I would say, that isn't true in Zelda, and that's the main difference. I mean, and that's where Zelda's magic lies. Is it's a world without like an arbitrary level of video game bullshit on top.
Well, I mean, that's precisely what Zelda was sold on from day one. Was like, you see that you can go there, you can take Ganon on from the start. Whereas this isn't.
This is very like like the exploration bit I love, but like when I climb to somewhere interesting looking, and then it's just like, danger, these enemies are really powerful. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm not meant to be here. There's this sense of you're not meant to be in certain places, which is why, for me, I think it's it's over-egging it to say it has any Breath of the Wild style. It just doesn't have the same magic or charm. It's also slathered in JRPG horse shit, like bad writing, bad characters, bad stories, pretty intrusive in the quests, very annoying anime tropes. So just like you've got this shrieking sidekick who, and like
what I hate, and hey, listen,
I don't know who it's. It's like that, but with like it stops and talks to you. It's called Paimon. It's asshole. I like, and that stuff. Like, it's a huge turn off for me in games. Like, I find it quite babyish, and I think I don't really that is completely at odds with the kind of the universal joy of exploration and look at this amazing world, and then to fill it with stuff which is so trite. I have very little time for that. I'm surprised actually some of my peers who are into this that isn't a more of a turn off for them too, but maybe people just like the exploration of it. What should be said, the top level of all of this is that it is free to play. It's got a like a gacha sort of mechanic, like loot boxes basically to unlock new weapons and new members for your party. But so far, I've only I've played it for a couple of days, sort of on and off, and it doesn't feel that intrusive. I would say, it's pretty generous. Like there's not any like it doesn't feel that there's a lot of arbitrary stuff kind of forcing you to pay. Like it hasn't given me any pay messages at all. That's all buried in the menus. So it's pretty generous considering it's free and it has the the AAA games production values. I mean, and it does look and sound amazing. I mean, like I preferred what I've played of this to what I played of that Ubisoft Phoenix game. Which like this is better than that for sure. And that is going to be like a 50 quid game. So, and that's actually what it's closer to, I'd say. It's in the same way that was slightly wrong in places. Phoenix, what I played, like it felt like some done Nintendo but hadn't quite got it right. So, like the puzzles were a bit more crass. The elemental there wasn't as much like interplay. It was a bit more rigid and kind of inflexible. This has got a lot of the same problems, I'd say.
So do you think it's unfair to compare this to Breath of the Wild then? Because a lot of what you've said... Like
visually... And
visually, yeah.
And in its exploration and its sort of style of exploration, it is so Breath of the Wild. Like, it is like... When you're playing it, you're constantly ticking off stuff going, oh yeah, that's like Zelda. Yeah, that's like that. But I would say it's missing, like... what I always call like the spark of life, which is what brings Zelda to light. Like Zelda gets it in a lot. It kind of gets out of your way. This doesn't. This talks and talks at you. There's so many currencies and resources, and the leveling up system, which is where like I imagine the more aggressive kind of loot box stuff will come in. Is basically your characters, your weapons, your accessories. You equip them, and they have all different stats. But then you need to feed other equipment that you find, and you find them quite readily to level them up. Once they've hit level 20, you can like ascend them to the next rank of like leveling up. I haven't got there yet. You need to have this like adventure rank, but there's so many numbers and ranks and ingredients at play, which is something Zelda doesn't have. Like Zelda has, it's a dense world, it's a rich world, but it feels a lot more organic. This is just video game mechanics. It's just there rubbing it in your face. It could rub it in your face more aggressively as a free-to-play game. Like it could force you, like, you know, it could limit the currencies that you need to level up, for example. But at this lower level, it seems pretty generous.
It doesn't seem like you're as hot on it as many of the many others are.
Breath of the Wild's like my favorite game. Everyone was like, if you like Breath of the Wild, you'll love this. And it doesn't. Maybe I like different things about Breath of the Wild that other people do, but like, I don't know. The combat I find quite boring. Like the enemies just pop up. I've seen a lot of people go like, well, it's better than Breath of the Wild because it doesn't have weapon degradation, which is just such a it's such a reductive way of looking at the whole thing. And it, like, for me, that was never really an issue. If anything, this needs weapon degradation because every encounter is super boring because you don't risk anything in any of it. Basically, you know, if you die, you just spawn off and you come back and you're in exactly the same position you were beforehand. I don't know. It's kind of amazing on one hand because it's free and it looks the way it does. And I love open world exploration. But it's also like, let's not go overboard. And
yeah,
I haven't got to the point where it puts the squeezes on you. I mean, like, you meet a lot of cool characters, and if you want to unlock them, by all accounts, the unlock rate is hot. Like, you've got like a 0.6% chance of unlocking a character in a loot when you do the wishes. But I don't. Like, for a free thing, by all means, give it a go, give it a try. I mean, it's interesting to see. Like, I had no idea. You know, in my mind, I had a perception of what free-to-play games are like, and they're rarely as polished and ambitious as this. But it's also like, if someone's telling you you're getting a free Zelda, like, not quite.
Free Zelda. This is not, is what you're saying to me.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, that is fair. A video game that came out recently that I wanted to highlight was I Am Dead, Matthew Castle. Despite its quite, macabre name.
Can I throw in one thing?
You can.
You can't cut the grass. You can't cut the grass in Genshin Impact. And that is why it will never be Zelda. That is a key part of Zelda.
Good.
What's the point of a field of grass if you can't cut it? Rubbish.
That is true.
Back to you, sorry.
I Am Dead, Matthew Castle. A video game, not a declaration. Don't be alarmed. Quite a macabre name, but at the same time, this is quite a sweet and pleasant game, in fact. This is from the developers of Hohokum and Wilmot's Warehouse. A very, 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 very sweet video game. So you play as Morris Lupton, the recently deceased Morris Lupton, and you're a ghost. And you're in this little sleepy English seaside town called Shelmerston. But because video games and whatever, this sleepy little English seaside town has a volcano on it that's going to erupt if Morris isn't able to persuade one of the other ghosts of the town to become the town's new custodian. So how you how you complete your objective or how you go about your little task is you and your dead dog Sparky, who can talk to you now because, whatever, you're both dead, sure. You go to these different locations to speak to other ghosts. But before you can do that, you have to wake them up by going to places that they once were, kind of like their favorite places or whatever. And you must find little trinkets, which is able to...
Inside a vacuum cleaner.
Well, that's one place where they're found. That's where you'll find a lost Buddha, for example. So yeah, you at these locations there will be 5 people who will have little speech bubbles above their head, and that means that they have like a memory about this person that you're trying to contact. And once you go into their memory, you engage in this very, very simple little game where you press you either use the arrow keys or the shoulder buttons, and you just press right trigger or right arrow key or left arrow key or left trigger. And you just go back and forth until you turn this jumbled mess into like a picture, one after the other. Very, very simple. Finding the actual... So after you do that, you will... or that these little stories will reveal a trinket that then you must find within these areas. Finding the little trinkets is a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, relatively simple, relatively painless. And then once you do that, you take control of Sparky here, and you wake up their ghost. It's a very, very pleasant game that I just wanted to highlight. Like, it's not going to... I suppose some people will find the lack of a challenge, I suppose, unattractive, really. But I think that maybe it could be slightly more difficult. But I don't think that that's what this game is trying to achieve. It's trying to be pleasant. It's trying to be a nice, warm hug, and not provide you with anything too hectic, really, or overly difficult. It's just very, very sweet.
Dealing with your emotions.
It's exactly. Trying not to cry. That's the challenge of this game. It's just a really sweet video game that and that looks so nice as well. Like there is more than just the kind of core story to this video game if you want it. You can explore areas and find more out about the world and the characters, because to find the items you sort of zoom into specific locations and then zoom into an item again. Like you saw, the vacuum cleaner is the item on the surface level, but you sort of zoom in and cut open that item, and then you're able to find the Buddha. Like another item I was looking for was a little figurine of a camel, and I was searching around all this toy shop, couldn't find it, and there was a lucky dip bin in the back, and I was able to like zoom into that, and then there was all the kind of sand, and you zoomed past all these other items, and then you find the camel. So
it's weird because it's almost like making a game of like clipping through items. When you accidentally rotate the camera in a game.
Exactly,
and you end up inside a crate and there's nothing in there. It's like someone went, what happens if there was something in there?
That's kind of what it is.
That was the game.
And it is, like, if you do actually explore a little bit, like, you will find nice little Easter eggs, like, is it at the lighthouse, where there's a toilet, and if you zoom in, you'll see a lobster in the cistern.
Oh, I thought you were going to say just a big fat old turd. It's what we affectionately refer to as the mega log.
There's just all, like, there are nice little things to find for people that do go exploring.
Imagine passing a lobster.
That would be very, very painful.
That would be the worst.
Just, a very, very pleasant, nice little game, this, that I would recommend. Just like a little bit different, a little bit nice, a little bit pleasant. A warm hug, indeed, is what I would call I Am Dead. Matthew Castle, you cheeky little bastard, you've gone back to Baldur's Gate 3.
I never left.
Oh, yes, son. Do tell me then. What are you getting up to in Baldur's Gate 3 land? You can't pull yourself away.
I can't. I had to start. Just before last week's thing, when I recorded the capture, I had to restart a new character and basically playing through it again with a different character and with different companions made me realize just how much stuff is going on in this game that is truly, truly frightening. So I played with a character called Will, who's like one of the heroic characters, and he's basically on a revenge mission against goblins. But what that basically means is that loads of encounters where I'd met goblins before and kind of talked my way out of problems with him in the party, like to get him on board, he basically drags you into loads of fights, kind of regardless with them. And I really liked that level of detail. That there were things where I thought, oh, this is an obvious. The story can go left or it can go right. But actually, most of what I'd done had elements of that. And that's, that's all I really wanted to give a shout out to. Like, if you have played the early access, it really is worth playing it again. Don't have to play the whole thing, just play a chunk of it with different companions and see how different it is. Like, probably more so than the character I took in. It was the characters, the companions that changed the angle. Also, our old RPS vidbud, Alice, was streaming it, and it was just interesting watching her play it on Sunday because she just went completely different routes and did completely different things, and not in the wrong order, but a very different order, which then again changed her kind of entire read on it. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. I've got to stop playing it though, because I feel like, not that I'm exhausting it, but I really, I also kind of, I've been playing it at a real slow pace, like really digging into it, which is what I do with the final game. And I just need to kind of wean myself off it. But I just wanted to flag up that I was still playing it.
Are you concerned about burning yourself out on Baldur's Gate 3 before Chapter 2? Like,
well, not burning out, but like maybe like you can, not that you get too good at it and it'll become too easy, but like even having played Original Sin 2, even having played Original Sin 2, like if you apply a lot of the tricks to that, it makes it quite easy. Like, I'd say it's easier than Original Sin 2 at the moment.
Okay.
Like, if they do anything in early access, it'd be to turn up the difficulty just a little bit, because I feel like it's quite versatile. It feels like it's been designed that actually any party, any combination of characters you have a pretty good chance. And maybe they want to do that, but it would be nice to have, this is the
just a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more, but like all the stealth bullshit we used to do to sort of cheese stuff in Original Sin 2, like, works 10 times better here because the stealth system is so much more advanced and just cleaner. You can do some really great stuff, and you can really cheese it. It's fantastic.
Good to hear it. So that's what we've been playing over the last 7 days. So now
what people want.
Now it is time to test the knowledge of one another in a little game we like to call Mystery Steam Reviews.
It's time for Mystery Steam Reviews. Yeah.
Every week on the PC Gaming Weekspot, I, Colin Mahern, and he, Matthew Castle, test the knowledge of one another in a little game we like to call Mystery Steam Reviews. And Matthew Castle, to keep everything all official, we now have a rule handbook. So, I and Matthew both bring 5 Steam reviews to the MSR arena, correct? But we omit the name of the game associated with each review. Our opponent must correctly guess the game attached to each review. 1 correct answer equals 1 point. I'm making it sound more complicated. While both combatants, yes, combatants, have 2 minutes each on each Mystery Steam review, they both also have help in the form of 3 lifelines. These can be used at any stage during battle, and also they pause the 2-minute timer. Each lifeline can only be used once, and the lifelines are question, where the hot seat haver gets to ask a yes or no question.
Hot seat haver.
The clue, where a fair clue is given to the hot seat haver, and genre. The genre of the game is revealed, yes, to the hot seat haver.
Hot seat haver.
Matthew Castle, are you ready to kick things off? Oh, it's fighting talk.
2014's my year, baby.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for pulling me up on that. All of the games on today's Mystery Steam reviews are from 2014. We keep going back a year each time. We'll probably get to a point where, like, we don't know what came out in 2009, so let's go back to 2020, but we're not at that stage yet. So, Matthew Castle, are you prepared for your first Mystery Steam review?
Oh, you are going down this week. You're in for a shame-in.
Oh, that man and his trash talk. It burns. So, Matthew Castle, your first Mystery Steam review is as follows. Yes, this game is riddled with historical inaccuracies and various absurdities. I'm not sure which is more absurd, using wooden shields to block fire or lighting metal swords on fire. I have trouble enjoying something this outlandish, and that's from Reo. It is not recommended, and they played this one for 3.3 hours. And Matthew Castle, your 2 minutes starts now.
I formally take back my trash talk. Historical inaccuracies. Games. So when I heard lighting metal swords on fire, sounds kind of fantasy-ish. I'm going to ask for the genre.
Oh dear. Right, okay. We are pausing the timer there. So, Matthew Castle, you are enacting your genre lifeline. So, genre is off the table. Your genre, let me pull it up here. I wasn't prepared. I didn't think you were going to ask a question so quickly. The genre of this game is a third-person action adventure. Not a great use of genre this week, but we'll see.
You see, I thought it might be.
Oh, maybe he's got it. So
the historical inaccuracy.
Hang on. Don't talk yet. I need to restart the timer. So your time begins. Oh no, Matthew, why is the timer not working?
Fucking graphics, man.
Oh no, the timer was doing so well, and now it's
never happens to Taro.
Oh no, sorry. The time resumes.
I have to start the timer.
Well, that's because Taran doesn't have to run the whole show himself, does he? Jesus Christ. Anyway, sorry. Third-person action adventure.
That's actually very useful, because my worry that it was going to be a strategy, like a total war game, on which I would be screwed because I don't know anything about them. But it isn't. It also rules out first-person fantasy, because I thought it might be Elder Scrolls Online, which I think came out in 2014. I think the big third-person action adventure for 2014 was the Mordor game. But the problem is, I don't remember what the fuck it was called. I think it was called... One was called Shadow of Mordor. But I think that was Shadow of War. Was that the second one? Shadow of Mordor. Was it called... Oh my god. I know it's this game. I'm going to say... I think it was called...
Who knows?
I think it was called Middle Earth.
Okay. 20 seconds.
Shadow of Mordor.
Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor. Are you... Do you want to go with it?
That's the best I'm going to do.
Okay. Well, in that case, can I just for clarity, is that your final answer? Your final answer.
No, sorry, your Tarrant. Yes, that's my final answer. we haven't got two Tarrants.
So Matthew Castle, you said, just to clarify, Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor.
If you say it's fucking Shadows of Mordor,
I can tell you,
I'm going to get on that fucking train. I'm going to come to Brighton. I'm going to burn your house down.
That Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor is incorrect. The correct answer wasn't Shadow of War either. You'll be glad to hear. You'll be glad to hear. The correct answer was Rise, Son of Rome.
Oh. I forgot that piece of shit ever existed.
Yes, yeah, indeed it did.
That's
but
not a piece of shit. That's unfair. I'm taking my anger out on Rise, and I shouldn't do that. My apologies to Rise. But you're great.
At least you can take some joy in the fact.
I was so sure you were gonna go for fucking Middle Earth.
Do you know what? That would have been a decent one actually. Because it is one of those annoying
don't
ones.
Don't stop playing your mind games where you're like, oh, maybe I could have done that one, because that means it probably is one. I know your game.
Matthew Castle, can I have my first Mystery Steam review? Please.
Yeah. It is. You can shag in a coffin. Laxi. Recommended 347.1 hours on record, 340.7 at the time of review.
Okay, and the time starts now. Okay. You can shag in a coffin. All right. So just gotta work these things out. I gotta process it and then figure it out. So it's a game with sex. So what games have sex? The Sims and BioWare games. EA games. Saints Row. That was... Hold on, what year is this? 2014. The Sims 4... was that around this time? I feel like it was. So you have The Sims 4.
It's been around for quite a long time.
It has been around. But you also have BioWare. So you have Mass Effect. Right, when did Mass Effect start? Mass Effect started in 2009, I think. Dragon Age started in 2008. So yeah, so it's going to be... 2014. I'm pretty sure 14 didn't have a Mass Effect. I think that was 15. I think that was 15. So Dragon Age 2014 would be... Oh, Jesus. So if Origins was 2008, you're talking 2 or you're talking Inquisition? Oh, Jesus, 20 seconds. I am going to say, Chris... I'm leaning more towards Inquisition. Do you know? I'm going to say Inquisition, final answer. Would you like to still ask me, though, if it's my final answer?
So your final answer is just the word Inquisition.
Oh, my final answer is Dragon Age Inquisition.
Your final answer is Dragon Age Inquisition?
Yes.
Colm. Is it pronounced Colm? How did
you can call me whatever you like, Chris.
You came here with no points. You now have no points. It's The Sims 4.
No! Why do I keep doing this?
You talked yourself out of it.
Why do I keep doing this?
It's a sickness, man.
Jesus. I'm very cross. All right. Oh, fucking. All right. Okay.
Yeah, if I was to have The Sims 4 and Dragon Age Inquisition, I'd assume shagging in a coffin was in Dragon Age, not The Sims 4.
I was thinking of the Iron Bull man, and I was like, that seems like
famous coffin shagger.
All right, Matthew Castle, here is your second mystery Steam review.
Give it to me.
Okay. The combat sucks, and the dodging is even worse. No matter what, you will get caught, and that stupid timing of the blood is just too annoying to do, as it never works properly. Just a waste of time. The first one was much better compared to this pile of shit. 0 out of 10. And that's from Belmet. It is not recommended. And Belmet had 1.9 hours on record and 1.9 hours at review time. Your time, Matthew Castle, starts now.
Blimey, what the hell is this? So it's got combat and dodging. It's a sequel. I didn't play it for very long, so it doesn't tell me anything. I feel like it's in the stupid timing of the blood. And the stupid timing of the blood is just too annoying.
I know it's a long one. Do you want to get another quick look at the? I can give you.
Never works properly. Just a waste of time. The first one was much better. 2014. So a sequel. The combat and the dodging. I think you something like Kane and Lynch 2, but I think that was earlier than 2014. Can I get a clue?
Oh, you can indeed. Very liberal with your your things this week. All right, I will give you a clue. Matthew Castle enacting his clue lifeline. Your clue for this is... See, I do the clues beforehand, and I completely forget about them until I look at them now.
I just match random bullshit I pulled out of my head with an answer.
But the thing with my clues is to just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Okay. House of Peers. And Matthew Castle, your time restarts now.
House of Peers. The House of Lords. Their peers. The House of Lords. A combat game starring the House of Lords. Oh, House of Lords Fighter. House of Lords Fighter. Where retired MPs kick the shit out of each other with that big stick that they have in the House of Commons. Old dirty bomb. Dirty
30 seconds.
It's got a name, isn't it, that big stick? Blood. Oh, I've got it.
Do you?
Oh,
14 seconds.
Lords of Shadow. It's a vampire. It's a vampire. It's a combat.
10 seconds.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, 2014.
Is that your final answer?
I think it's called Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I reviewed it. I quite liked it.
Matthew Castle, you said Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that is correct.
Your clue did you?
Yep, yeah. Oh, well, like the clue is, the clue is, to be fair, meant to help the people actually get it correct. So that's all right that helped you. So let's update the scores. Matthew Castle up 1-0. So well done. Congratulations. You know, sometimes it
I'm
helps.
going to kiss my...
Kiss your one. Kiss your one. Beautiful. So, Matthew Castle, can you give me my second Mystery Steam review? Please.
Boss fight in a stealth game. What a joke. Yorick, not recommended. 14.3 hours on record.
Time starts now. Boss fight in a stealth game. What a joke. All right. What stealth games... That's where I have to go first. What stealth games came out in 2014? Okay. Oh God, my mind's gone blank. Mark the Ninja, that was 2013, I think.
Did it have boss fights?
And it didn't have boss fights. What stealth game had boss fights?
Tricky this one, isn't it?
A stealth game. Have you... I am going to pause my timer, Matthew Castle, and I am. It's a gamble. I feel like I'm on bullseye, and Jim Bowen is urging me to take a chance. Could I enact one of my lifelines? And the lifeline I want to use, Matthew Castle, is indeed genre. Yes. Matthew Castle, please tell me, what is the genre of this game?
Should I read the genre from Steam?
I generally use Wikipedia as a rule of thumb, and if I find that's unfair, I will. But I think that's kind of pretty much what you're looking for.
Okay, I'm going to look up and see what Wikipedia calls it. Wikipedia calls this a stealth video game. Before you start the clock, one of the all-time worst uses of genre.
Time restarts now. See, I thought you were trying to catch me. Do you know, like when a couple of weeks ago, when I said like this has been a brilliant Assassin's Creed or whatever it was.
No. This is one of my nice ones I picked this week.
I overthought that. What stealth games came out in 2014? All right, stealth games. Splinter Cell, Blacklist was the last one. That was 2013. Metal Gear Solid. That would have been 2014.
No.
It didn't have a boss fight, did it? Hitman doesn't have boss fights, and that was on the quiet in 2014, wasn't it? When did Absolution come out? Oh, when did Absolution come out? No, that was 2013, I think. Oh, I'm struggling, Matthew. Other stealth game characters.
Very famous one.
10 seconds. I am going to shoot for the stars, and I am going to say Hitman Absolution. Reason we have we're back. Let's do that again. Hitman Absolution is my final answer.
That's your final answer. Hitman Absolution.
It's wrong.
It is a stealth game, but was it let down by a bad boss? The correct answer is Thief.
I forgot Thief even existed.
Well, that's because the 2014 one did such a number on it. I'm so sorry.
I think going through all the stealth games. Okay, pick myself up, dust myself off, because it's time to...
I was trying to be nice with this one. No,
you were. Matthew Castle, it's time for your third Mystery Steam review. And it is as follows. Okay. Came for the dog, stayed for the shovel. And that's from Psychosis. It's recommended with 6.7 hours on record and 6.7 hours at review time. And your time starts now.
Came for the dog, stayed for the shovel.
Does anything come to mind? You see, you have a wry smile.
Shovel pulls me into Shovel Knight territory. But that feels like you're trying to trick me into Shovel Knight by putting the word shovel in there, because my brain isn't very complicated, and that's how it works. And I don't remember Shovel Knight having a dog. Unless it did have
Maybe it did. Unless it did. Unless Shovel Knight had a dog. Who knows?
I feel like I don't want to use my question. Listen, I'm just going to be bold. I'm just going to say Shovel Knight.
Are you going for it? Final answer.
I'm just going to do it. I'm going to say Shovel Knight. And I think it was called just Shovel Knight when it first came out. If it's got some subtitle on it, again, I'm going to come to Brighton. I'm going to burn down your house. So, come on.
So, Matthew
Gabe.
Castle, you said Gabe. Shovel Knight.
Gabe, sprinkle us with your magic.
And I can tell you that Shovel Knight does have a shovel. But does it have a dog? Shovel Knight is incorrect.
Oh, I fell for the fucking shovel.
I can tell you that the correct answer, Matthew Castle, is in fact Valiant Hearts: The Great War.
Who the fuck remembers that? The World War I point-and-click game.
I do, because it's in this. Come on, I don't think that's unfair. I think it was a Ubisoft game. You know, it was all right. I know it was more than all right. I actually quite liked that. But yeah, Valiant Hearts: The Great War. You're not a fan of the war. Didn't think it was great.
I wasn't a fan of the war. Wasn't really a fan of the game. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Came for the dog, stayed for the shovel. Who played Valiant Hearts and was like, that fucking shovel was... Did it have a shovel?
I mean, clearly that person, whatever it was, Psychosis, they were quite happy with the shovel. So, Matthew Castle, can I have my third Mystery Steam review? Please.
Puzzles inside of puzzles, 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 inside of puzzles. This did go on quite a lot longer, but I had to cut it for this.
A truncated version, yeah.
Yeah. But I would hope you get the gist. That is from Maxa, 6.1 hours on record. They recommended it after only playing 3.7 hours.
And time starts now. Puzzles inside of puzzles inside of puzzles. Let's just go through all of it. All right. I have a clue and I have a question. And this is my third one. So rather than me trying to rack my brain, because inside of puzzles, all I can think of is curiosity. The cube.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a freebie. It is not that.
Going to pause the timer, Matthew Castle, and I am going to enact one of my lifelines. And what do I have? Question and clue. Could I have a clue, please?
Yeah. Yeah. So for my clues this week, I've got second reviews of them. These are other reviews.
Oh, interesting.
A backup review.
Yeah.
The backup review for this game is way too much demonic occult imagery. Avoid.
Okay, time restarts now. Way too much demonic occult imagery. Puzzles inside of puzzles. Okay, a puzzle game that has Lucifer
Well, you're assuming it has big L. I mean,
true enough.
You know,
just some form
of
of
lowlier evils.
Oh dear, that's puzzles inside of fucking puzzles. There's a cult imagery. 2014. Oh wow, I'm blank. I'm completely blank. The devil, Satan. All I have in my head is After Party, which came out last year, which has the devil in it. It's not that. Oh man. Okay. I'm stumped. I'm completely stumped. With 15 seconds to go, can I just pull a game? I need a game.
A puzzle inside
a puzzle. Antechambers coming to my head, but there's no occult stuff in that. Was that 2014? I don't know. I'm just going to have to say Antechamber, Matthew Castle. Final answer. Even though it's probably not. So yes, Antechamber.
That's your final answer.
It has to be.
Is Antechamber.
Oh, Jesus.
That's your final answer.
Rubbish. Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
You currently have no points. You now have no points. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Do you remember Antechamber? I don't know. For some reason that came into my head. But yeah, what was the right answer?
It was The Room.
Oh, yeah, the thing that came out in phone first, and you turned around the things and puzzles inside a. Oh, right.
Incidentally, finding a review for this was really hard because most of the reviews are just the shittest references to the film The Room. And it's people who, if you've ever want to see 500 of the world's unfunniest people all making exactly the same joke, head to the Steam page of The Room. It made me despair for humanity.
The sorting Steam reviews by funny, you will find a lot of them not that funny. Not that funny. No. Some of them,
a lot of respect for fellow man.
Some of them quite mean spirited and criminal.
I would say a lot of people are mistaking funny with just horribly prejudiced.
Yes. Yeah.
Teenagers who shouldn't really be allowed to have PCs in their bedrooms, I'm afraid.
And that's your parenting minute from Colm and Matthew. So right, that was my third Mystery Steam review, was it? So Matthew Castle, here is your fourth Mystery Steam review.
Yes.
It is as follows, as he pulls it up now.
Come on.
Beat the first level, which was also the last. I just paid $20 for a demo. And that's from David W. Rogers 2. It's not recommended. 26.2 hours on record. 5.8 hours at review time. And your time starts now.
Oh my Jesus. That is so hard. Beat the first level, which was also the last. I just paid. So it's something you're constantly taking runs at and presumably getting better at. So it's kind of a looping thing. I'm thinking there was that I don't know. There was that tiny one which you looped, but I thought it had individual levels.
Quantum Leap.
No,
is that your final answer?
No. Okay. Super Time Force. That was around that time because my memories. I was working in London. I was on official.
Aren't you fancy? Man about town.
I was working on official Nintendo, and so there weren't any PC mags in the office. There was official Xbox, so I remember watching them. And I swear they played that quite a bit. Not a good anecdote.
Is it, like, have you ended up at the same point? Super Time Force.
I feel like
you have your lifeline as well. And 25 seconds.
A one level game that you can play for that much.
Mm-hmm.
That's tricky. Oh, I was going to say the Metal Gear thing, but I swear that was later. Oh no. I reviewed it for official Xbox.
5 seconds.
Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. I hope it isn't called Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. I think that's right.
Matthew Castle. You said...
If you played it for 26 hours, that's quite a lot.
Super Time Force initially. But then right down to the wire it was. You switched to Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. And I can tell you, Matthew Castle, that Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes is incorrect.
Oh.
Because in fact, it is called Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. You reap what you sow. So, my heart doesn't bleed for him. Yours shouldn't either. He knows how this game works. So, it's fine. It's fine. I'll sit here and wait for him to come back. Because what else am I going to be doing, I suppose? And also... if we called off the game at this point, he would technically win, I suppose. Or would he? I suppose he could. He abandoned. Oh, look at him crawling back. They all come crawling back. I said you reap what you sow, motherfucker. With your.
That's a real nice welcome back to the stream. You reap what you sow, motherfucker. Oh man, I'm gonna fuck. Oh, Nick.
Look, we've always known
you are going to reap nothing. I'm going to salt the fucking earth so nothing can grow.
The both of us know you have to get it exactly right, and you didn't get it exactly right, I'm afraid. So Matthew Castle, can I have my 4th mystery Steam review, please? And come on, take that puss off your face. Turn that frown upside down. All right.
I love this game.
Okay, Matthew Castle, my next mystery Steam review, please.
This game is about gradual improvement, a constant cycle of finding new plateaus and satisfaction of overcoming them with practice, hard work and intellect. If you are prone to rage quitting, then this game will quickly be deleted from your hard drive in anger. That's Cloud195, recommended after 9,028 hours. 4,938 at the time of review.
Time starts now. What? Who plays a game for 9,000? How many? Out of curiosity, have you done the maths? Because I would be curious to know what 9,000 hours is. That is ludicrous. Okay. Game about gradual improvement, constant cycle of finding new plateaus, satisfaction of overcoming them with practice, hard work, and intellect. Oh, Jesus. I haven't a clue. I do have a lifeline, so what could I... Oh, Jesus. New plateaus. Gradual improvement. It could could be like the only thing that comes to mind would be a multiplayer game, I suppose.
I mean, I would say that's a given.
But like apart from say, well, yeah, I suppose. 2013.
Look at the tone of it.
Oh, it's very highfalutin.
Who talks about themselves in this way?
Dickheads.
And dickheads tend to like
MMOs. No, they don't. I mean, I suppose like bro shooters, I suppose, is what you would think. 2013. Oh, what Call of Duty came out in 2013? Call of Duty, they're not going to talk like that, are they? Oh, it's a terrible guess, Matthew, but all I can give you...
Do you want to use your question?
I don't know what to ask. Which is the problem. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Final answer.
That's your final answer?
Yes, Chris, that is my final answer. I apologise again, Chris. It's not much of an answer, but it is in fact all I can give you.
The answer is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which I believe came out in 2015. So it's not that. So, have you got a sound effect there? And there it is. It was Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Shit.
Come on.
Shit.
Come on. That stank of fighting game person.
Fair. Yeah, when I think about it now, I suppose it does.
Come on.
Right, okay. This is this Mystery Steam review's not going great. Yeah, this one not going great at all. But Matthew Castle, I have your 5th Mystery Steam review for you, if you're interested. Here is your 5th and final Mystery Steam review. You get this? No. Is that right? Yeah, that is right.
No. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You get this. You're bang on. So yeah, here's your final Mystery Steam review. It is as follows. Eagles are chaotic evil. And that's from Palpatinio. It's recommended 25.5 hours on record, 5.7 hours at review time. And your time starts now.
Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They are chaotic evil. So you have eagles, a game with eagles in it.
And remember, yeah, you have your question, so you might as well use it.
As my question, can I ask you for what the clue is going to be for this one? Is it a third person game?
Oh, hang on. You're asking me a question? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Question.
We will pause the timer. Is it a third person game? He asks. I can tell you that it isn't. It isn't. It is not a third person game. No, it is not a third person game. And the timer restarts now.
Interesting. So I was thinking like Assassin's Creed with the eagle, and then I was like chaotic. So eagle, a game where a game where you get attacked by birds, like Far Cry, you get attacked by birds. That's not first person. That's not third person. That's first person. But which one was it? There was the one. Was it 3 or was it 4? There was the one that was in the mountains. They were both in the mountains. There was the sort of Tibeti one, and there was the kind of the island one. I'm gonna say Far Cry 4.
Is it? Don't need to use your final 30 seconds?
No, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Far Cry 4.
Okay. Matthew Castle, you toyed with it being either Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 4. You've ended up on Far Cry 4, and I can tell you that Far Cry 4 is the right answer. Gracious Victor as well, of course. Yep. Class oozing out of every pore, that man. Well, look, let's just, to make it all of it, let's just go through it. Might as well just go through the last my last mystery Steam review. Hey ho, Look, all right, you've one more job. Come on, do your final mystery Steam review to me, please. Even though it's a fucking waste of time, but anyway.
I dig it. That isn't a gloat, that's the review.
Come on, don't slouch now. Go through tell me the hours. It
says Marvel Gee. Recommended 11.5 hours on record, 11.4 at the time of review.
Okay, timer starts now. You can tell he's already lost interest. All right, well, look, let's not beat around the bush then. Let's just say I'm just going to go for it, Matthew, because, why not? Steam World Dig.
Very interesting.
I dig it. It must be some sort of. They're not just saying I like it. There must be digging involved. I've thought of Steam World Dig, and why bother if it's just a consolation goal? Why bother wait around for another 1 minute?
What about using a question?
Final answer: Steam World Dig.
You don't want to ask a question. You could use that question for anything.
Final answer.
You could have asked the question because you risk going home with no points. But you could have asked the question, but you didn't. So you're gambling on Steam World Dig. I'm afraid it's the wrong answer. It was Shovel Knight.
Oh,
Listen.
Not my day. Congratulations, Matthew. You've done well tonight.
Now you are the underdog. Now you are the people's favourite. I have become everything I hate about this game. I am the villain. What's that line in Batman? You live long enough
to whatever. Become the winner at Steam mystery Steam reviews.
I think people who are tuning in for the first time have maybe seen me in a negative light for gloating like that, but they missed all the weeks of bullshit. This has been a long, hard campaign. As I've climbed back to the top, I'm not embarrassed to enjoy it while I'm here spitting on you from the top of the mountain.
Son of a bitch. Congratulations. Congratulations. So now we turn to you, the lovely viewer. So get those questions in. Put them in the chat now because it's time for your burning questions. Yes, this is the part of the show where we generally, the day of the PC Gaming Weekspot, we put out a little post asking for your questions, or you can put them in the live chat on our live stream on YouTube. So do get your questions in. But Matthew, we do have one thing that I wanted to sort of highlight. It was a comment on last week's PC Gaming Weekspot. Because do you remember we were talking about crunch and CD Projekt Red?
Yeah.
Well, let me find it. Where is it? Here. From Beisenauer Halt 78, they said, having done my fair share of crunch during the last 15 years in game development, though actually not that much during the last 6 to 8 years, I have to say that I'm impressed that CDPR have managed to avoid crunch so far. The thing about crunch is that apart from being horrible for the employees, it is also an unsustainable business practice. Yes, you can increase productivity for a short amount of time by letting everybody work long hours, but after a few weeks, productivity will decline as you create more problems than you are fixing, due to everybody being overworked, exhausted, and cranky and making mistakes. However, you can totally use crunch to finish things. If I was at CDPR right now, I think I'd rather buckle down for 6 weeks and get that thing finished than push the release date again. Because there are a lot of things that can lead to burnout in games development, not just the workload. Going for years without shipping a title and seeing release dates slip time and time again will also wear you down, even if you manage to stick to a 40-hour work week during the whole time. Of course, given the chance, I'd like to finish a game on time and without crunch. Yeah, and that's from Beisenauer Halt. Just thought it was an interesting from somebody who's done the crunching thing.
Actually knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean,
like the Bullshit Brothers, which is what I nicknamed us.
I don't know if, I'm sure there are other people who would say, yeah, I'd prefer to just finish it, or no, you can't, whatever. So I don't know, just a little insight there to our lovely viewers.
Thanks for writing in.
From some developers. Yeah, so thank you very much. We have a question here from Robert. Robert asks, Matthew, is that bookshelf anchored?
Yeah, honestly, it's fine. I know it looks like it's going off at a big angle, but it seems very secure. Also, it's mostly Catherine's stuff, so
Daniel Lopez.
It falls.
Daniel Lopez asks, do you create your likenesses in character creators or something silly? When I was younger, I used to create my likeness. Now I generally create Omar Little from The Wire. That's often I kind of, not Michael Kenneth Williams, Omar Little. That's what I go for. I've played the last couple of RPGs I've played him. I haven't really role played as Omar, but I've just looked like Omar. What do you generally go for, Matthew?
Because I always role play as that guy who gets fired and becomes a teacher in the Wild.
Presbeluski.
No. Oh, who's that guy? He's the union guy down at the docks. He's
Frank Sabatka. Yeah.
No, I always play as a dandyish character with silvery hair and a pencil thin moustache. I always make that.
Do you role play so your actions will try and...
No, visually they are they look quite kind of dapper and clean.
Clean dandy man. Let me see. I had another question here a while ago. Guy asks, Colin, why haven't you abandoned the UK sinking ship? Ooh, satire. Because my job is here. So, maybe in time. And also, if Matthew keeps threatening,
I remember that.
If Matthew keeps threatening to burn down my house, then maybe I'll have to.
I'll chase you all the way to Ireland.
Do we have any other questions? No, that's kind of about it for burning questions, really. So now, Matthew, maybe some would argue the most important part of the show that we haven't really dabbled with in quite a while. So while I set this up, can you please tell the people at home what they are about to witness? Who is coming on the show?
As many of you are probably wondering, why am I wearing a tuxedo? It's because we have a very special guest, the famous film director, Steven Spielberg, who we have been trying to interview on the show for a few weeks now. We haven't had much success, but this week is the week, and we are going to talk to him about his career, his favorite video games, everything. It's going to be amazing. So,
so I think I've got it lined up here. So I'll just press the call button. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty confident this is the week we're gonna get Stephen on, and we'll see. Fingers crossed it goes well. So yeah, any questions for Stephen, please throw them in the chat and we'll get to him as quick as we can. So I've been talking to his assistant, Greta's surname, over the last week, and everything seems good. So any second now. I was promised this week, Matthew. Okay. Hello, Mr. Spielberg. Great to have you. Fantastic. This is great.
Hello, everybody, everywhere.
Oh, wow, the connection seems shaky. How are you, Mr. Spielberg?
Trying to put the country back together again.
Are you plugged into your router, Mr. Spielberg? Does it?
Compromise is usually the best way to get something done.
I'm okay. I wanted to ask.
His side.
Your assistant said this was good.
End.
What?
End.
Okay. Whoa. All right. Okay. Sorry. Oh God, I didn't mean to redial him. What happened there? He said we're a thought.
That was quite passive aggressive.
I mean, passive aggressive.
Aggressive.
Yeah. He told us, or well, his assistant told me that, like, Greta's surname said that everything was perfectly. He called us a thorn in his side. Matthew, I'm not sure. We're gonna have to rethink about. Maybe we need to make a call to Scorsese or something, or I don't know, Michael Bay, perhaps even, or just somebody else. Because
did we maybe got him on an off day?
Maybe. Also trying to get the country back together. I mean, I understand it's a difficult time in America. It's a fractured nation, but is Steven Spielberg the answer? This you have to ask yourself. I'm not sure.
I did not like how he just shouted "end" at us to get off the call.
Very aggressive.
That was very unpleasant. I wasn't a fan of that one bit.
So I don't know. We'll see. We might have him on next week, but I think it's fair to say myself and Matthew both, taken aback a little bit here by the aggressive.
Evaluate his films.
Indeed, a shame that we feel so, kind of that was just a very off-putting experience. Which is a shame. It's to sully such a marvelous PC Gaming Weekspot, but sadly, a PC Gaming Weekspot that has indeed come to an end. But thank you very much, lovely viewer, for watching this edition of the PC Gaming Weekspot. Of course, there are a number of things that you can do. What can you do? You can like this video, you can subscribe, you can ring the bell so you're notified of when future PC Gaming Weekspots go live on youtube.com/rockpapershot. What was that noise, Matthew? What was that noise? But if you enjoyed the ramblings of myself, Colm Ahern, and Matthew Castle, you can follow us on social media. I am at Colm_Ahern. Matthew is at Mr. Basil Pesto.
Mr. Basil _ Pesto.
Mr. Basil _ Pesto. But most importantly, head to rockpapershotgun.com for everything you need in PC gaming. But now it is time for my least favourite part of the show. This is the part of the show where we must bid
the
listener adieu. It is.
Your least favourite bit of the show is surely when you get a sound thrashing
No.
in mystery Steam reviews.
This is generally my least favorite part of the show, especially when I try and time it with the song. But that's
Oh, sorry.
no, that's all right. So say goodbye, Matthew Castle.
Goodbye.
And say goodbye, Colin Mahern Sloan Gaffol.